You're listening to From a Certain Point of View, the only podcast daring enough to broadcast exclusively on all levels of Mount Tantiss. And hey, if you're a first-time listener, welcome aboard. Not that you have much choice in the matter, dear prisoner. Here at Factbo, we understand that once you've been poked and prodded, your day has pretty much hit its peak. So while you're lounging around in your cozy cells, waiting for the next round of blood samples, we'll be here to keep you entertained and updated on everything from daily MCOUT winners to the Hound Kill of the Week. Plus, we'll be dishing out juicy details on the comings and goings of special guests like the Emperor. Because who said being stuck in a fortress couldn't be fun? Now, who are we? The Factba 2, the Great 2. I'm the Angry Ginger Jedi Guy. I'm broadcasting live from inside Wookiee Poo Studios on the Skype lines across the universe, but with a hell of a signal, is Darth Mathias.
Hello, Jay. How are you today? Nala say, fucking spit it out.
Oh, man.
I forgot that she spoke that slow.
Someone give her an ASMR channel now.
I was thinking of Adam Sandler and Billy Madison. Today, Junior.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, we've seen her before in the way she talks, and I've always wondered, like, if like shit goes down, does she amp it up?
Yeah.
And she's just as chill, and she's like, "You're gonna need to escape now.
Well,
go find my iPad and fuck off."
Well, and her and Hemlock having talks is even better because he's
yeah.
just like this the whole time. Yeah. Even she speaks even too slowly for him, but certainly the volume level's right on par for those two. I think I would love to see those two on a date. You know, at a crowded restaurant, couldn't hear a fucking word they're saying.
You find out they're both into some 50 Shades of Grey shit.
Oh my God! Did you say we're broadcast on all levels of Mount Tantiss?
All levels,
all the way down to the stables or whatever you want to call it.
Even through the laser hallway, the Red Room. Yep,
that's great. Oh, welcome to our podcast. From a certain point of skew.com is our website. You can find us on Twitter at FACPApod, and you can email the show facpapod@gmail.com. Jay, what's on the show today?
On the show today, we got a few things. Question of the week: next animated series?
I like to put question marks.
Anchorman.
So here's the funny thing is,
what?
Whenever I put the little notes on there in the headings, I'm always like, God, I use a lot of questions. It's always questions. I try to like mix it up.
That's all right. You're like, questioned to the point, and I am long-winded and can't fumble through my own words. So between the two of us, we'll find a happy medium. Sure. In the news today, we've got two things. The Acolyte coming in June. Matt says his fingers are crossed. I know it's coming at some point, so I'm happy for it. Angela Bassett in Star Wars? Bad Batch episodes 1, Confined, 2, Past Unknown, and 3, Shadows of Tantiss. We'll be discussing all 3. Sorry, Royal Farm Boy, we're keeping it all in one episode and not 3 like last time we launched.
Yeah, right.
And let's wrap the show up. 3 emails in the Maul Bag. That makes me happy.
So question of the week, with the Bad Batch wrapping up the season, what should be the next Star Wars animation project is what I threw out there. We've got a lot of answers. This is Jedi, the Jedi Hick, a.k.a. Wade from Records of the Republic. Emergency personnel have arrived at Mon Mothma's home. Jay's interested. She is discovered to have been murdered, and Jedi Master Luke Skywalker has dispatched one of his top instructors to assist in the case. The camera swivels to the front door as we see a very angry ginger Jedi enter in. I think that you will be so conflicted on this case that it'll be tough for you to actually do your job.
Yeah, I can't work this case.
No.
I got to be taken off immediately.
You would be.
I'm going to go with a body. Yep. We're going to find out. We're going to take some blood, some M counts. We're going to bring her back to life. There's going to be a clone.
Yeah, you'd be too busy with the other arrangements. You don't have time to fucking work the case.
Although immediately, if dipshit Perrin was still alive, he'd be the first person I'd be looking into, though.
As he should be. Automatic person of interest.
In this story, I am apparently one of Luke Skywalker's Jedi Padawans. I'm an assistant.
Yeah.
Top instructor. Okay.
Yeah, so that works. But I just think you're going to be too conflicted. You'll be happy to hunt the guy down or whatever who killed her.
I'll go Dark Force Rising.
But you're going to be you're going to be busy you're going to need to mourn for a couple days or weeks. Next up is, I think it's Records of the Republic. It might be Wade again. I definitely would love to see an animated version of Master Luke Skywalker rebuilding the Jedi Order altogether, especially if they use Mark Hamill's voice. So I like this idea. Well, here's the thing. Mark Hamill, I mean, he's a great voice actor, so he could do it. But I'm like, his voice now is very gravelly compared to where he was back in this era. But I'm sure he could probably pull it off. The guy does voices for a fucking living.
That and they redid his voice for the show.
Oh, and redigitalized it.
Book
or
of Boba Fett, yeah. So they can de-age him or de-age and everything else. So, and I guess this would be a cheaper way to bring Luke long term into this era of Star Wars at this point is to animate him. I wouldn't fight the idea. There's a lot of people that seem to think they're still going to bring Luke back for these movies. I'd be really surprised.
Well, the only reason why it makes sense is because of the fact that they already have for the series.
Sure.
So shouldn't he show up at some point if they're going to have these huge blockbuster crossover events?
Yeah, but it's going to be, I think, like very small, like the rise of the last Jedi Skywalker, Rey Skywalker. What's her face? The Rise of Skywalker.
Rise of Skywalker.
I think it'll be very short-lived like that. You know, he'll just show up and have a little something to say. Him and Yoda.
The Rise of the Last Skywalker.
Yeah.
Next up is
The Force Awakened, the last of the Rise of Skywalker.
This name is fun. Saber Kai, Moon-Faced Assassin of Joy. All right.
There's a lot going on there.
A Rogue Squadron adaptation. Soft reboot some of the sillier things from the Aftermath series and adapt a Coruscant liberation storyline from the novels. After Clone Wars, Bad Batch, and Rebels, it's perfectly suited to the Lucasfilm animation medium. I was not familiar with the Coruscant liberation, so I had to look it up. Are you familiar with this?
I am not.
So from what I can understand, it's kind of a part of Legends, and it takes place in 7 ABY, which is 3 years after the Battle of Endor.
Okay.
It's funny, too, because I looked up, I didn't get into all the details, but I looked up the image that they show you on, I think it's Wikipedia, for this event, is a bunch of people from the New Republic or like erecting a flag like straight out of Iwo Jima. You know, they're all like, digging in. It's the same exact shot.
Oh, shit.
Hey, man, I'm always up for anything Coruscant. So you want to give me some Coruscant action? I'll take it.
Animated, though, I would take this. This sounds like this could work really good after Andor.
Yeah, it could. There's so much to be done on Coruscant. It's huge.
Right.
You could do whatever you want. There's a lot of things, and because it has that kind of Blade Runner feel to it, that whole planet, I'm on board. So I like the idea.
I do too.
Next up, Brian Auer, Star Wars Smuggler's Den. Something like 10 to 20 years after Return of the Jedi, but before Force Awakens, Han has left Leia, and we get the stories of him and Chewie back on the smuggler's job. Ooh, I like this idea.
Old man Han stories.
Yeah. You get to see him find... How did he get those Rathars? Or whatever those things were called.
Right. Yeah.
No, but there's a lot there. And of course, if you did a story like that, you're going to get a lot of Maz. Maz is going to be all over that shit. And I like Maz a lot.
I feel like there's a little crush she has on Han. Or there was like a will they, won't they. Let's play that. It'll be like, let's do it like moonlighting.
Oh, there you go. Fuck. I watched the shit out of that show back in the day.
You think Han is like the Captain Kirk where he'll fuck anything?
Well, I think it could be, but I think so. Maz obviously has something for Chewie in the end. So maybe she kind of was into Han and then was like, you know what, this is going nowhere. He's tied to Leia. I'm not going to deal with that. I'm just going straight for the Wookiee.
I'm going for the friend.
I want that big Wookiee dick.
Was this the one that I responded to on Twitter? Something about Han being a neglectful father throughout the series.
I don't remember you saying that.
Yeah, I think this is the one I wrote down like story.
Oh yes, and this is what heightens the moment of Kylo stabbing him is because he was neglectful.
Right.
Father. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, we don't really know exactly when he left, when he fucked off.
Right.
Because was it shortly after they sent him to Jedi boarding school? Then he's like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, I think everything kind of happened between them after Luke and he had a falling out.
Right. You fucked up my son.
Yeah.
All right. Next is Ash Rendar. The Adventures of Ash Rendar, obviously, with a nice little picture. So she sent us over a full story that we will be including in Volume 2 of the FACBA stories.
Yep.
And I responded to her. I hadn't heard back from her, but I responded to her and said, can you please voice the Ash Rendar since that's you?
Oh, yes.
I need you to voice that character. There's only like one other line in it. It's like by a Rodian. I'm like, we can handle that and we can handle the narration, but we need your voice.
No response, though, whether she'll do it or not?
I don't think she's responded yet. I'll double check with her, but I'm sure she would be up for that. But yeah, I think I may have mentioned this to you. It's a nice, like, kind of shorter story. I like, as much as I liked your long story, I like the shorter ones that just give you like a little taste of a scene of something, kind of like you did with the Kenobi thing.
In and out.
Yeah, well, just because it makes it so you can kind of quick hit them a little bit, and then also you get a lot of these different voices that are kind of going back and forth. I kind of like that.
I do too.
Yeah, I mean the long ones are good.
After having written a few and having to edit and story and all that, I like the smaller ones too.
Yeah, makes a little more sense.
Yeah, the droid one got away from me.
Yeah, that was a long one, but that's okay. All right, then we've got the Yubcast. Some thoughts. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Get your pencil out.
All right.
High Republic. a post-Rise of Skywalker, Luke's Jedi Academy, Hutt Syndicate / crime procedural, Tales of the Sith, an animated West Wing-style political drama during the fall of the Republic, an animated Ken Burns-style documentary about pod racing. Oh, hashtag Star Wars animation. I mean, you get a Star Wars animation podcast to chime in on something like this, you're bound to get 50 ideas, and I appreciate that. Which one do you like the most out of that list?
I like the West Wing style political drama.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty funny. Yeah.
That would be pretty good. I like the Hutt Syndicate one. I'm sure there's the High Republic one is probably due, but like they did just do that Young Jedi, whatever the hell it is, and that's High Republic. I didn't watch that shit.
Too young for you.
A little bit too young for me. I mean, you could do a post Rise of Skywalker because there's a gap you might want to try to bridge between Episode 9 and whatever we're going to see in Rey's films. So
right.
There's some room to play with there. But I mean, the funniest one for me is if you do a Ken Burns style documentary, like whether it's pod racing or something else, it would be so fucking funny if they were like going back and showing like black and white photos and reading people's letters to each other and stuff like Civil War style. I would love that. Oh, fuck. That's good stuff.
Is it going to be like 17 hours long?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be like, yeah. Every episode is an hour and it's, 17 episodes. Then we've got from the Max Rebo Experience, Resistance Season 3. No?
He's fucking with me.
He always does. Okay, I'm tired of pre-original trilogy and original trilogy era, and Mando has post-original trilogy down, so I hope they move beyond the sequel trilogy and start setting up the Rey movie. There you go. Show what the New Republic looks like, or have DJ return to Canto Bight and adopt Broom Boy, and they have adventures.
I can see Lucasfilm playing around a little bit, like giving us, like they're tending to stick around in this era, right? Like he was mentioned, but we're going back to the Acolyte. So I think, they might play a little forward as well.
Yeah.
But I think for the most part, until they're done telling this like Mandoverse cross section of stories, I think we're going to be kind of stuck there for a while. And it's funny that people are so tired of it because I think it's good.
No, I think it's good. And I think kind of the block of time we've been operating in, I think some people are getting sort of tired of that whole era and just wanting to move to before or after. And I get that.
Right.
At the same time, it's a big chunk of time. There's a million stories to tell there. So
yeah,
I understand getting a little fatigue over seeing the same characters over and over, perhaps. But it seems like they've been, I don't know, seems like they've kind of rolled away from that a little bit and throwing different things that use smaller side characters that they're building a bigger story around and things like that, which is what, I always find interesting.
Right.
So. But yeah, I would love to see stuff going forward for sure. Adelphi Rangers, NRSF. Tales of the New Republic, a rogue squadron type story with everyday non-force using X-Wing pilots like Carson Teva and the Adelphi Rangers. On brand as always. Always pushing.
Yeah, we didn't see this coming. We didn't see this coming at all. And you know what? This was supposed to happen, but
Well, this is an animation project, not a live action.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Maybe this is how you bring Gina Carano back. You just get
it's got to be better than fucking Resistance.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I knew you couldn't let that go. Deconstructing Dan says, I think the new animated series should be more adult and dark, showing Darth Vader tracking down the remaining Jedi and slaughtering them.
Just every episode ends in red.
I was going to say, Dan, who hurt you? Just
no shit.
Just kidding. You do that podcast with him. You know exactly who hurts him.
I know. And we've had to seek legal counsel. That's all I'll say.
What he's describing certainly seems more like comic book material than live action or animation, just because it's a lot to throw. It's an investment in a pretty dark space. But I'm always for the dark stuff. That's fine with me.
I think, I don't know. I was going to say, I think with the animation, it allows them to sell toys. But from what I see on Twitter, all the adults are buying the toys. So why not do a darker series?
Sorry.
That wasn't me bashing or poking.
I know, but it just came out as funny. All the adults are buying the toys.
They are, man. Well, everyone's buying the Black Series. Everyone's got like my bookshelves, but they're not books. They're actual like Star Wars, just filled with shit.
It's true. It's amazing. Every time we podcast with somebody from another podcast, I always feel very inadequate with what's behind me because I've got nothing. And they've got fucking walls of shit. It's amazing how much stuff people have. It's incredible.
You should get a couple of blow-up dolls and like put one in like a Wookiee costume.
With the open mouth.
Yeah, and dress the other one like just a black robe and put him in the bed behind you. So whenever you do Star Wars, you just got a little something there.
I should always have something a little weird behind me.
Yeah.
Something. Whether it's like a chalkboard with some weird saying or drawing on it, or like you said, some sort of figure.
Just get a couple of framed posters, so when you record, pull those two down, the art on the wall there, and just put up like a couple of silly posters.
I could just use my Empire Strips Back posters, you know?
Yeah.
Put those up. Yeah, no, I definitely feel inadequate here. Like, all I have is stuff that we end up giving away. Like, I give away everything.
How sad would it look? You're in your spare bedroom with the bed, and then you've got an Empire Strips Back poster on the wall behind you, and that's it.
No girls allowed in here.
Yeah.
It would be even better, though, if I could rig it so that the people see the bed behind me, and then slowly, like a figure sits up.
Yeah.
I just
Just
pull on
tie like
string.
a rope to it over your shoulder.
Right.
Just pull on it every
you
once
see
in a
something
while.
behind me? Oh, fuck, man. All right. Couple more. Elise Scott says, the next Star Wars animation project, in my opinion, should be a show taking place prior to Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, and starring Obi-Wan Kenobi as a Padawan and his master Qui-Gon Jinn during their Jedi training, especially the mission on Mandalore with Satine. I like this. So, it's funny, I was thinking about, I read Master and Apprentice.
Yeah.
Which is prior to Phantom Menace.
Mm-hmm.
I forget like 90% of that book.
I never read it.
It was good. It was interesting. And it gets into like how Qui-Gon was offered the, a role in the council and Obi-Wan felt like he was going to abandon him but then he didn't take it. But gets into all that stuff. But like the individual missions and stuff, I kind of forget.
I just don't remember
most of it. Yeah. There's just like only so much stays in here.
Didn't I read something recently with the anniversary edition of Phantom Menace coming out? Didn't they announce, is it comic books or books? They're putting some content out that takes place like before, during, and maybe just after the Phantom Menace.
Oh, well, there you go.
So yeah, maybe not animation, but I think there's some comic book stuff coming out or something.
Well, doing all this High Republic and Acolyte stuff, there's going to be a big gap there between where you're going to have, stories to tell again.
So. A lot of gaps to fill in.
A lot of gaps. That's what we're doing. Filling voids here. Brent Solden is our last one. Says a Tartakovsky. Is it Tartakovsky or Tartakovsky? I think it's Tartakovsky. Anyway, that guy.
Yes.
Style Jedi Sith war cartoon set thousands of years BBY.
Ooh.
So that the Clone Wars one that Tartakovsky did, that's how you say the name. That is on our list to review. We're actually going to do it before Bad Batch, but we ran out of time, so we'll probably do it, I don't know, sometime later this year, because I've never really watched it, and you have, and I've always heard people rave about it, how it's really good.
Yeah, I've like I said, when they aired it, I remember seeing the bits, but I remember none of it. Really.
A lot of people really like it. Thousands of years BBY though. Thousands of years?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. When they said, I would like to see like the Clone Wars style where like they throw you right into a story, you get that little bit of narration, and then maybe like a 3-episode arc where they just tell like a story of a mission or a battle or something, and maybe like just take us through the years.
Right.
That'd be kind of fun. Like the pinnacle war stories.
It's like anthology series with 3-episode arcs.
Yeah, like you do that, like the Band of Brothers and the Pacific. Is it just the Pacific? The Spielberg, Tom Hanks, like 8-9 episode war stories. Just do those. Jump around a bit. That'd be fun. And then what's the new one on Apple from them? That looks amazing too. The Airmen.
The air up there. No. Coming in the air tonight. It's something about the air. The boys in the air.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. That's it for questions of the week answers. Thank you. You all get an entry in our giveaway.
Yes. I hope you all win the giveaway.
Appreciate that. And by the way, speaking of the giveaway, Ash Rendar, she not only gets the question of the week entry, but because she sent us a story that's going to go in Fact for Stories, she gets 5 entries for that. So
that's right.
Got a good chance at winning.
What was the thing that I promised not to forget? Was it one person that sent a story gets double the points?
There was something along the lines of you were going to take all the people that took that. I think it was everybody that submits a story gets 5 entries. Then you were going to like put all their names in a hat and they get bonus 5 entries for one person. So I believe that's what it was.
Right now, she's looking at bonus points because she's the only one.
She's the only one. That's right.
Ash, you're my favorite.
Yeah. Next is the news. So there was a rumor that came out that the Acolyte, was this in Collider or something? I can't remember where it was, but that the Acolyte is actually going to be released on June 5th, which is a Wednesday. Right. So that checks out. Bad Batch ends May 1st. We would expect there to be something on May the 4th. We don't know what. We've talked about, would that be the second season of Tales of the Jedi or something like that? We certainly could have something coming out May the 4th if we pull our FACPA stories together.
That's right. Yeah.
We don't want to put timelines on ourselves, though, because we know what happened last time. We got to get started now.
I had to take a little bit of a break, but I'm off this week, so I'm going to start tooling away on one of the stories.
All right. Well, we get
a jump start.
Yeah, we got more than 2 months now, so we'll pull it together.
And I'm keeping to my prediction that they're announcing the follow-up series to Bad Batch
on May the 4th, because it'll be right on the heels of the previous series. Yeah, that's a good guess. I mean, they always do something. I don't remember what it was last year, but they always do a little something on May the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't surprise me. And that leaves, if they did release Acolyte June 5th, that's about 4 to 5 weeks between series.
Right.
Which is not unusual. If this is true, which, nothing's been confirmed, when do you think we see the trailer? It's got to be soon, right? I mean, they got to build buzz for this show. It's pretty unknown.
Yeah. We've been saying that for years. They don't really care to build buzz. They just hey, we know everyone's going to watch it. So they put, what was the Bad Batch, a month and a half before the series came out?
Right. But that was also a pre-existing show. This is a brand new show. You'd think you'd want to build some sort of buzz for it.
I agree. So I think we'll see a trailer. Well, if it's, I don't know if maybe there'll be some type of teaser before May the 4th, but I think May the 4th will get a big, boom.
Yeah.
A big drop. Full extended trailer.
I would like that. I mean, we've seen the over-the-shoulder peak from last April, but that was a very rough cut trailer. So it would be nice to see something. I would expect it. I don't know if it's really going to be June the 5th. I think we're gonna get something sooner than May the 4th. I think we're gonna get something in the next few weeks. I just think you have to put something out there, even if it's just a little teaser.
Is that the only one that you saw? Was it Collider the only one that put it out there? Because I saw it going all over Twitter, but I didn't see where the source was.
I think Collider was the source that everybody ran with.
Okay.
I believe that was the case.
I don't know if I trust that enough.
I don't think you should. But like I said, it was not. I think they said it was neither confirmed nor denied by Lucasfilm.
Oh,
so
fair enough. I could just put anything out I want. Say that.
Yeah,
too.
right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right.
You're going to star in the next Ray movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. Collider, picking that up. On a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for this series? Be honest.
Knowing very little about it, but it's Star Wars, so I'm excited. I'll say I'm at least at an 8.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Something new, something different. And as much as I was a little off about Andor, and I was way wrong. So I like the idea of getting something that I can't wrap my head around.
I like that it's new. I like that it's a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The concept seems to almost be kind of like a, what would you call it? Almost like investigators, like the veteran investigator and his young, fellow detective off trying to solve some mysteries, and then of course the younger one potentially sounds like goes dark. So, I mean, it's got a lot there, and it's got a lot of great actors.
True detective of the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, there you go. So, I think it's going to be like that, and so I think 8's about right. I couldn't say a 10 because it's just too hard. Not to mention I haven't fucking seen any of it except for these grainy shots. It's like watching the fucking Playboy Channel back in the day, basically. Porn squiggles. Anyway. Angela Bassett and Star Wars, Jay? Rumors of this meeting that happened between her and Lucasfilm recently. No other details. Of course, people immediately start to speculate. Is she going to be in the new Rey film? Is she going to be in season 2 of The Acolyte? Is she going to be in, all these different things?
Right.
For me, of course, I don't want to be that guy, but I will.
I want you to be that guy.
If you wanted to bring some of the Aftermath series characters into the Ahsoka series, then I think she would make a great Rey Sloane, and the age would be sort of close, because I think Rey Sloane, who is an admiral in that series, she would probably be about in her early to mid 50s by the Ahsoka series, and I think Angela Bassett's in her 60s. So yeah, I mean that would work. But she's Rey Sloane's responsible, or one of the people responsible for the early days of the First Order.
Yes.
So you're starting to set that piece up that bridges you to the sequel trilogy.
So you think we'll see her in the sequel trilogy as well? Well, I mean the sequel trilogy to the sequel trilogy. She'd be dead by then.
She would be dead by then.
So you're just saying the era of the First Order in the sequel trilogy. I see what you're saying.
I think she's open-ended after the beginning of the First Order. I don't think we know what happens to her fate. So you could kind of do what you want.
I mean, she's in a Fox series right now, I think. So she's not beneath doing TV, and she'll do genre. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her in Star Wars, but she seems too big to just put her in the Ahsoka series. And with half of the series taking place in another galaxy, you're not going to get much of her.
And I don't know that I don't know if that, and this is just a total guess by me, of course.
Right.
I don't know that character ever had any crossover with Thrawn. I don't think so. So this would be kind of introducing that.
But at this point, I mean, it doesn't really matter. But it would be fun to see her kind of play the villainess.
Right, I think it would.
She's such an amazing actress.
The Sloane character was interesting because she went back and forth. She like kind of worked with some of the rebels for a while and then went back. So there was a bit of, kind of a tweener.
Well, she wasn't a bad guy. She was just all for...
She was more in the Thrawn. She was more in the Thrawn mold of like, I'm doing my job here, and this is this is to have a certain perspective. I don't know. We'll see. Unless I'm trying to think of what else she would show up in. It's impossible to guess.
Well,
we'll find out.
I'm not going to guess. I'm not going to be that guy.
Fine. Don't be that guy. I'll be that guy.
All right.
All right. Let's talk Bad Batch, shall we?
Yeah.
Bad Batch is back. And just before we get into the episodes, hated it.
Yeah, I was not surprised that didn't amp up. It's fucking. Oh no, I loved it.
I was gonna say, I couldn't tell exactly where you were on it.
I saw your lips start to quiver.
I was like,
oh, you didn't
well, no, but I was like, okay, this would be interesting. Now I want to hear what he has to say. Overall thoughts on the show before we get into the breakdowns of the episodes. Like for me, a couple of things that stood out were, one, the visuals look different. They look much sharper to me. It seems like, especially the individual like faces, up close stuff. It just seemed a lot like the animation seemed like they really worked hard to enhance it.
Did you notice like the end of how they kept like showing up at her in her room, not her cell?
Yes.
Time to start the day, and then they go off
every
and
time.
They do that a couple times, and then like the end after it's been 5 months, she fucking aged.
Yeah.
Did you notice like it was a different? She looked older, and I was like, it's only been 5 months, but I mean I think it was on purpose to show you it's been a while, and let's grow this little girl up a little bit. But to me, she looked older.
She definitely looked older, and I'll say it. I like the new haircut.
Was it cut or is it just grown out?
It's just grown out.
Yeah.
I thought she looked better.
Looks good on her. Yeah.
Excuse me. We'll get into the aging thing in a second, but I just felt like overall, I mean, I'm always amazed by what they do visually with this show because they do a really good job. But it just seems like they're getting better and better. The Kiner crew, once again, just continues to kill it with the music, especially the music on Mount Tantiss. Kind of creates almost like an old 60s, 70s style sci-fi vibe, almost like a Kubrick-esque vibe.
Yeah.
That it just makes you feel really uneven while you're watching all of the stuff that's happening.
There's a little bit of paranoia.
Yeah.
Involved. Yeah. Like what's going to happen here?
You just feel uncomfortable.
Right. Yeah.
I think the music kind of helps make you feel that way. I don't think we're going to get any filler, quote unquote, episodes this season. It seems like, I mean, you could argue that the first 2 episodes were a little slower because they were kind of building for what we saw in episode 3, which was a little bit more action packed.
I hope nobody had any problem with that though. Like I did see some people complaining about the second episode being a filler episode, which I completely disagree with.
Yeah, I don't think it's a filler.
It was a different type of episode, but it definitely told a story and there was a purpose to it. But the first episode, you have to have that setup. Like we had to get familiar with what happens in Mount Tantiss. What's Omega's job? How is she being treated? What are these chores she's doing? Who are all the players? And they put everything into it. And to have all that then go into the third episode and the ticking time clock, like the way everything played out, like I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think the first episode it's slower, but it's supposed to be making you understand the monotony of her life.
Yes.
And what she's going through and how everything is very regimented. Everything is the same every day. And it's, I mean, even down to like Emerie Karr, who my son would call like an NPC. She would just come in and say like the same fucking line every day to her and do the same. We have much to get to. Every day she'd say basically the same thing. And how that could just wear on you, especially as a child, when you're sitting there and every day is the same and you're just in a cell by yourself. And then you have to go do this fucking stupid job with the same damn tasks every single day.
No wonder why she looks like she's aged. She's in prison. She's a child. She's experiencing the same thing. She's bored out of her fucking mind. She's probably aged 5 years in those 5 months.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like the presidency.
But I just feel like this is going to be a season where, like you said, even the second episode, which felt like sort of like other episodes we've seen before as far as the Bad Batch going on some sort of adventure, but it was all tied to the main story. Everything is tied to the main story.
Yeah.
There's no
and I
like
like how
total
like it doesn't bring us to like they know where she's at and they're going in now. They're the A team,
right?
You know, like they're struggling with not having her.
Yeah, we're not off trying to find like fucking dinosaur eggs or some shit. Like we're
right.
Everything is building toward some sort of solution.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into episode 1. So we open on Tantiss, where the shuttle of troopers comes in and they get struck by lightning and crash. So are we led to believe that you're safer in like a Boeing 737 with exploding doors than you are in a fucking Imperial shuttle? Because one bolt of lightning and that motherfucker goes down.
That was a heavy storm they were in, though.
Sure, I understand, but planes in our day and age get hit by lightning all the time, and they survive.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Man, what are we doing here, Imperials?
I'm going to give the stories, the writers an out. Like, I see what they were doing. This picks up later. This was on purpose, so it's all right.
It wasn't a nitpick. It was just a joke. And then Hemlock is like, basically leaving for dead. They're outside the perimeter. We can't do anything for them. They go.
They're disposable.
Yeah. Another example of that. We get into Omega's kind of day-to-day. She gets, like I said, picked up at her cell from Emerie Karr and gets her little Star Wars lunch pail and heads off to work. Gets her blood drawn while the other clones are also getting their blood drawn. And then that's where we finally see Nala Se's like, oh shit, why'd she take your blood, and destroys her blood sample.
So she's been there almost 3 weeks, and this is the first time they decide to poke her.
That's right. Yeah. So she's making little marks on the wall that show like how long she's been there. And it looks like she's been there about 3 weeks.
Nobody knows.
And a lot of like little parallels to some things that we see from Rey later.
Mm-hmm.
The stenciling on the wall of the day has gone by.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You're going to see some other stuff later too that are kind of reminiscent of Rey. And then, so then Hemlock swings by and is like...
But is that on purpose?
Because you think that she's related to Rey?
Oh, I think it's almost a foregone conclusion now.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Yeah. She's grandmommy.
Maybe. So then Hemlock swings by and says, Nala Se, we got to go to the vault, which is this heavily guarded area with soldiers and ray shields.
I like how they've got a couple of the lit up visor stormtroopers. What are those guys called?
Those commandos?
Yeah, the commandos, like guarding the door that's got, 18 rows of fucking lasers behind it.
Right. Well,
no one's coming out.
It's all it's meant to project that there's something very, very important in there.
Uh-huh.
So then Omega heads down to the Lurka stalls. By the way, I thought it was Lurker and they were just saying Lurka.
I did too. Yeah.
It's actually Lurka, like Lurca.
Their accent. Lurkers.
Yeah, so they are these like guard dogs, I guess you could call them. And we see that she's stealing hay from the stalls, and we're like, what the fuck is that about?
Right.
She makes friends with this one that she calls Batcha, who she feeds her chicken nuggets because Batcher hates kibble. I
mean, does she miss the Bad Batch so much she names the dog Batcher?
Yes.
Yeah.
She's
okay.
She's
on the same page.
And as we come to find out, she's stealing hay because she's making a fucking doll that matches the doll she has on the Marauder. She misses her people, Jay.
Yeah, she does.
So.
Yep. Get over it.
Yeah. So after she's done there, she sneaks down to talk to Crosshair in his cell. By the way, I know that they're not treating these people well, her included, but can somebody get a fucking comforter or a quilt?
I know.
Everybody just sleeps in their clothes on a goddamn empty blank cot.
Yeah.
Come on.
Nothing. No amenities here at Mount Tantiss.
No. And I mean, I guess maybe that window's not actually open. It certainly looks like that window's open in Omega's place. What's the temperature in there? This is abuse.
They are on a mountain. It could be pretty cold up there. Fucking troopers are outside skiing, having a good time. You're gonna see fucking Hemlock go into his room one day, and like he's gonna have like 17 fucking blankets on his bed.
That's right. I know. He's got this big plush bed, 4-post bed. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So she tells Crosshair she's working on an escape plan, and he's just like, "Dude, please just stop. Like I've basically resigned to my life being over. So I don't even want to entertain this idea."
And you should too, kid.
Exactly. So then she goes back to her cell. That's when we see her making the marks on the wall. And then we see, of course, her make the doll. And so then time passes. This is when we pick up, and all of a sudden you realize it's about, like I think you're right, about 5 months based on the marks.
Yeah.
And she's got longer hair. She looks older. Emerie Karr still coming by, saying the same goddamn line every day. Everything just continues to be routine. And then one day she's checking on Batcha and notices that Batcher's got a big gouge in her leg. And the stable droid, I don't know what you call that thing. She had a name for it. LX12, whatever it was.
Yeah, was it LX or L9, I9 something?
I can't remember.
If you'd like, I'll look it up.
Sure, go ahead. We should be giving all the details. So this droid says that the thing's going to be terminated if it doesn't heal. And she's like, "What?" Starts freaking out, gets the first aid kit, and puts some Neosporin on him. Or on her, sorry. It's a Batcher's a girl.
I know I keep hitting at this, and maybe other people aren't, but her talking to Batcher, like in a, hey, calm down, you're going to let me heal you, and then he's just, oh, okay, go ahead and do it. Like, to me, she's talking to the animal without showing the Force, using the Force.
Correct. I think you're right. And that's something that we see with Ezra, That's something we've seen with other Jedi where they have this stronger bond to natural elements and natural things so that they can, speak to animals and things like that. So yeah, that totally makes sense, especially where we end up going. So she, gives the Neosporin, and then she goes back down and is visiting Crosshair and telling him all about how she's trying. She's going through and she's like, he's really hurt. So I'm trying to make sure that he's better. He's just like, oh my God, would you please just fucking leave me alone?
Is this where he tells her, what is your mission? To escape. Okay. Well, then escape. Well, I want to bring you. Well, I wouldn't bring you.
Yeah. I wouldn't think twice about taking you if I got out of here. She's like, you're fucking full of shit. You would too. And clearly you can see he's like, she's kind of right. But he says something about how, look, I deserve to be here. And she says, none of us deserve to be here.
Mm-hmm.
So then the next morning, she gets her fucking cell checked and they take her doll away because they're brutal and we can't have personal attachments. Nala Se then tells Hemlock, and the scene of them walking out of the vault, and she tells Hemlock, the Emperor should be happy because they were able to do this successful transfer. Now, granted, it takes her 10 minutes to get that line out because she speaks so fucking slow.
I know.
And he says, though, the M count isn't maintained or improved from the original specimen, so it's a failure. We're getting into M counts. This is where people who had issues with the midichlorian stuff in the prequels are just fucking twitching. No M counts.
I just don't get why. I get you might not like that, but the idea of, well, I don't like it, so they need to ignore a whole thing of story that exists.
Right. I think people don't like
strange.
It being, how would you describe that? Like that it's biological. It's almost like people think it shouldn't be that way for some reason. That it shouldn't come down to what's in you that makes you, more or less Force sensitive. I don't know. I mean, and this is some of the stuff that Dr. Pershing was talking about in Mandalorian with M counts. That conversation came up there. So it's all leading in that direction. I mean, that's why he wanted Grogu's blood. It's because of the M count. Mm-hmm. So then Omega learns that Batcha is going to be terminated anyway, because despite healing, Batcher is now domesticated thanks to Omega talking to her so much.
Yes, right.
And she's like, well, that's my fault. And he's like, I don't know. Okay.
Yep.
Protocol.
He likes people now, so now you're dead.
Yeah, sorry.
Or it's dead.
So she smashes the fucking droid.
Boy, she has no remorse for droids, does she?
Not at all.
Her and Mando are going to get along.
They are. Because, not only does she smash him, then she fucking zaps him with the thing and, drops that on his head. And so she allows Batcher to escape into the wild. She pulls his little monitoring device off and, sends him out.
Mm-hmm.
And then, here comes Hemlock walking in. I can't remember what his line was, but it was something along the lines of just breaking the rules, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And she gets real sassy pants with him.
So I know why you got me here.
Yeah, she kind of threatens him a little bit in a way because she's talking all this shit about, first of all, he's claiming, she's like, you were going to kill him for no reason. He's like, do you think you just made it better? You just sent him off where all these nasty creatures are. There was this fucking shuttle that crashed not long ago and all those guys are dead. Hey, dum-dum, you just told her about the shuttle. Good job.
Right. Yeah. Also, you already watching this, you already knew this is how she's escaping, right? Through the dog tunnels.
Yes. Yeah. That would make sense. And so then, she gets real sassy about the whole Nala Se thing. Like, hey, if you fuck with me, then Nala Se's not going to do your work for you. And he's like, I would never fuck with you, but your buddy Crosshair.
Uh-huh.
I love how it's always the next person. Anybody he threatens is by threatening somebody.
Don't you touch Crosshair. You showed your cards, girl.
Yeah, exactly. And then NPC Emerie gives Omega her doll back, which was a nice little gesture.
NPC Emerie. Okay. Well, yeah, not there in front of what I called him last episode, Hargrove.
Hargrove. There you go, Hargrove. I forgot about that.
Not in front of Hemlock, though. It's later on. She's pouting in her room cell.
Right.
Door opens up. She just drops it down. So she's got a little bit of a heart.
She does. She has a little bit.
Yeah.
She has a little bit of sympathy for her, and then you hear Batcher howling in the distance, standing on top of the crash site. So
Yeah.
you understand that he got out and he's okay. So that's the end of episode 1. Episode 2 is where we kind of shift. We open on some world. I don't know what world this is supposed to be, but we see our guy Roland Durand, who we saw in season 1 or 2. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I think it was the first season.
First season.
He was the one that had to do with Sid's bar, right? He was trying to take it over or deal with something, and the Pikes are involved, and they cut his horn off.
Yes, he was working. Yeah, so he's a Deveronian. He was working with the Pikes, and he was doing some spice shit for him. And then the Bad Batch stole the spice from him, and so he was kind of fucked, and basically was going to get killed by the Pikes. And in the end, they convinced him to not kill him, and they just chopped his horn off, one of his horns off.
Yes.
So he's there with his mom, and they're kind of doing like, judge, jury, and executioner style, like meet and greet with all these different people coming in and jettisoning some dude through a fucking trapdoor all the way to the depths of hell.
You know who the voice was?
Of the woman?
Yeah.
Yeah, Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
Yep. She was just in Visions. She was in the Screecher's Reach one. She was in that. So she's doing a lot of Star Wars these days, Angelica Houston.
Well, we've got you in the booth.
Yeah.
Read these lines.
Else. It's only going to take you like 5 minutes, real quick. Yeah, like 6 lines. They bring in Hunter and Wrecker, and they have this dude, this Pike, and they're basically. And I love how they walk in, and Hunter just goes, "Here's your fucking horn, by the way, back."
Yeah.
And so they say, well, we're bringing you this guy in exchange. We want some information about where Hemlock's lab is. So they said, okay. They give him coordinates, and off they go. So that was kind of it for the Durands.
Yeah.
I really wish I knew where that was. I don't know what that planet is.
I saw it in one of the things that I was looking at, but I can't remember.
All right.
Hold on.
Okay, you look it up. So they go back to the Marauder. Hunter's like plugging in the coordinates and all that stuff. Did you see the shot of poor fucking Tech's goggles just smashed and sitting there in the foreground?
He even looks at him at one point, and then he looks over at the doll. I'm like, dude, you're killing yourself, man.
Yeah, I know. Got to move on.
Uh-huh.
I say
They're
that.
Dead.
I still haven't accepted it. Wrecker explains to Hunter that Echo and Rex are a couple rotations away, so they're not going to be able to join them going to this planet. And Hunter's like, fuck it. We're going to go alone. And Wrecker's like, are you sure, man? It's not a good idea to go with just the two of us. But they say, screw it. They go. They find the lab on this land, and it's been destroyed and overrun by the jungle. And as Hunter and Wrecker make their way through the jungle, they're confronted by these clone cadets who reveal that they are from Camino. They left and thought they were doing like some different training, but basically treated like the clones on Mount Tantiss. They were experimented on. Their blood was taken, treated like slaves, prisoners, whatever.
It's kind of like the same thing with Andor.
What do you mean?
Where it opens up with that they're like that tribe and they're survivors of
like
after
that,
the Empire fucking ruined everything.
Yeah. So then they get attacked by these slither vines, which is some sort of Empire creation that took place when they were on the planet. That they were trying to use it to
like
protect the lab.
A hybrid thing or something they created. Yeah, and they got a little bigger than they were.
Slightly out of control.
For. Yeah.
It was almost like they planted bamboo and went, holy shit, it's everywhere now.
Yes.
They head back to their camp, the cadet camp, and meet Mox, who's kind of the leader. And he's like, if you're going to try to go to this lab where there's this control panel that they might be able to hook into, it's a suicide mission because the place is overrun with those vines. You're fucking stupid.
And no heads up that it's not just the vines.
Right, there's other creatures there.
And also, who's going to touch the vine first? It's going to be Wrecker.
Well, right. Yeah, I know, of course. Always.
I didn't see it.
Deke decides, he's like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to take you guys there. And the other two stay. I can't remember the other one's name. It's Mox, Deke, and blah. I can't remember. So they swing by and get the Gronk droid for a power source because you got to have the battery.
Yeah, I know.
And then they head to the lab and they're attacked by the vines. And they manage to slice them off Deke, and they turn to these little what the fuck do you call those things? Little creepy critters.
I don't know. They just they kind of grow legs, but they're already a leg. But then they just skitter about, come in. One of them turns into almost like a face hugger.
Yes, it's a total alien/aliens vibe here,
right?
Because you're getting the flashlights that are shooting in different directions, and you just see certain angles. It definitely feels like aliens. They find their way to the console and they start pulling data, and then they get attacked again by this creature now from under the water, which turns out to be, what the fuck is this? Like a water sarlacc? What the hell is that
Yeah.
thing? I mean, the teeth on that thing.
It was very much that.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Although, a little bit bigger, I think.
Yeah, very much. It looked bigger and nasty. Mox and the other dude had headed to the Marauder. Did I say Mox or Max? Mox. Headed to the Marauder to check out the ship, and that's when they get the distress call from Deke, like, hey, we need your help. So they swoop in, fly in, pick up Hunter, Wrecker, and Deke just in the nick of time. They dump a shitload of explosives into the mouth and fucking
the whole treasure trove of explosives.
Wrecker loves it. He's like, fucking yeah. And they get back on the ship, they get out of there, and then Hunter is like reviewing the data, and he finds that the lab and all the experiments were moved to a new sector, but they don't know exactly which planet in the sector.
Right.
And he's like, well, we'll drop you guys someplace safe. And they're like, where the fuck are you going to drop us that's safe? And like, we got this little island in mind. So they're clearly going to take him to Pabu.
Yep.
So,
which isn't going to work out for them. They're going to be back in the Empire's arms in no time.
That, or they're going to end up having to join the clone uprising that happens at the end of the season.
Right. That's true.
So that takes us to episode 3, Shadows of Tantiss. We open on another seemingly monotonous day for Omega, picked up by Emerie again. We have there's much to do, but we see that things are a little bit different because there's like a way heavier trooper presence, and we also get our first glimpse of that CK or CX1 trooper or whatever that we kind of that one we saw in the last season that tried to kill Chuchi.
Yeah, just a brief, but it was odd the way that both him and Crosshair kind of had a reaction.
How they looked at each other?
Yeah.
And then he just gets in, and then he goes and gets in the elevator or whatever the hell that was.
But what's he there watching over him?
I don't know.
Given that look, So yeah, that was a little weird.
It was a one-off. It was like, it didn't make sense why he was there. They didn't show him at all other than that.
Yep.
I don't know. Strange.
Foreshadowing.
Omega notices something's different. She's like, what's going on? Why are there so many troopers around? And of course, Emerie's like, hey, I don't ask questions. I just work here.
Mm-hmm.
And Hemlock comes in and he's like, we have an unexpected guest. Now, did you think it was going to be the Emperor right away?
Yeah.
I mean, we had seen the preview trailer shot where he comes
exactly.
down, so it seemed like it was obvious. And so he's like, Nala Say and I are going to be busy. So slowly, quietly talking to the Emperor. So, Emerie, you need to take over the lab work. And that's when Nala Say starts fucking freaking out.
Because she saw the blood sample again.
Yeah, she's like,
and this time she can't dispose of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so she starts trying to slowly whisper to Omega, like you said earlier, basically get the fuck out of here. Because once they find your blood sample and run it, you're in trouble. So you need to get out no matter what. Use my iPad. Find my iPad. It'll get you into any room and use it to get out. Emerie tells Omega, she's like, do your shit. And then Omega just kind of stands there and she's like, are you feeling well? Why don't you go back to your cell and just relax? She's like, sure. Goes over, steals the iPad and fucks off. And that's when she goes down and goes down to try to get Crosshair out.
We're breaking out of here.
In the meantime, by the way, this is where you set up that thing that you were talking about, where the testing machine is slowly rotating the new samples around like a fucking clock.
Yep.
Yeah, it's pretty cool the way they did that. Although it does take quite a while for hers to get all the way around.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And then in the meantime, Palps arrives and Hemlock takes him to the vault to show him progress on Project Necromancer.
Yep. Which was first mentioned in Mandalorian.
It is mentioned, yes. So it was mentioned by Paleon in that little holo call that they had with what's his face, Moff Gideon.
Yep.
They said at the time, I think he said that like Hux's dad was working on it.
Yes.
Whatever his name. I can't remember Hux's dad's name. So, I mean, that's 25, 30 years after this. So that project is going on for a long time. Long-term project.
Well, I think there's I think we talk about this when we get to speculations, but there's I think stages that this whole project goes through with the failures and different things. So and I think Moff Gideon's might have been like a reboot. We don't know if he was necessarily working on, because he was doing one on the side separate from Hux's dad. And all of his cloning was for him, or were led to it was him. Yeah.
Right.
And the Emperor wasn't like, hey, go ahead and go clone yourself.
Right. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be on board for that.
Right.
And not to mention, a lot of shit happens in between then. You have the whole Civil War going on and all that stuff. So things could have gotten derailed.
I think, like, now I think about it, he was like or reverse engineering it, but the other way, because he's not force sensitive, but he was looking for Grogu for the force sensitive to mix the blood to bring. But how's he going to put his? he doesn't really put like where the Palpatine's going to put his life force into another body.
Gideon wants it to be put into him.
Yeah, he's just going to, well, he just makes clones that they don't have the same memories of him. I don't know how they're going to deal with that.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he doesn't see it as a way of living beyond his years. It's just more to just become more powerful in the moment.
Yeah, I think so.
Hemlock shows Palps the specimens, but we don't see them. Are they Snokes?
I don't think so.
Okay, something else.
I think so. Want to talk about it now or later?
Well, let's talk about that in a minute.
All right.
And then Hemlock says, "Hey, if I had more time and resources, I could get that M count replication done for you." So Palps is like, "You'll have everything you need." So blank check written to Hemlock.
It's very important to the Empire. No, it's very important. Now,
yeah, well,
there's another thing I got to bring up too.
Okay, write it down. So Palps, we'll get through the rest of this episode, then we'll get into that speculation. Palps heads out and tells Hemlock he'll get the promotion he wants because he's like, I'd like to be the Minister of Science, whatever the fuck. He's like, you'll get that promotion if you deliver the goods, essentially. And so, but he also says that he wants to make sure we keep Mount Tantiss hidden and secret because others in the Empire might not be down with what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's all about you and not the Empire. You're trying to, prolong your life and your control over the Empire, not necessarily for the Empire itself. And everybody probably thinks that's kind of creepy as fuck. Back to Omega. She sneaks down to where they're holding Crosshair. Well, this was a nice opportunity for her, by the way, when she sneaks down to kick a mouse droid right in the face.
She does.
I love that.
You're not getting in this elevator.
No. She goes down to Crosshair. She's like, hey, distract the guards. And then we get another kind of Rey-ish moment where Crosshair goes, hey, guards, you're going to unlock this cell. And then you're going to give me your blaster.
Mm-hmm.
This is straight like Force Awakens conversation.
Yeah.
But it's really just a distraction because he gets, all of a sudden she opens the doors. He stuns them both and they head off together. They come to realize that the Emperor's in town, which I love that because the realization on Crosshair's face when he's like, the fucking Emperor's in here and you pick this day for us to try to break out.
And her response is, we'll just steal his ship then.
I know. Like, it's so easy.
Yeah.
He's like, no, man, I can't do that. And by the way, this whole time, Crosshair is showing like signs of shell shock, like a la Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got really a bad, like shaky hand going on. And that's not good for a guy whose main role is a sniper.
I think there's probably truth to the shell shock thing, but also like, is it from the testing?
I think it could be.
That they're doing? And
they're abusing his body.
What are the testing? Because they're doing more than just taking his blood. I think they're injecting him with shit, right?
I think they're injecting him to see if his body will take it.
Right.
And so it's like breaking his body down probably.
So,
and not to mention these clones are not supposed to survive for 100 years.
Right.
That's the other thing. So eventually they're just going to wear out.
Yeah, like 11, 12 years max. And I think he's already at about 11.
Exactly. It's like when you start looking at your dog and you're like, oh, boy, you're on the downside, bud.
10-foot Crosshair's out to pasture.
So Emerie Karr confronts Omega and Crosshair as they are trying to make their way out of the stalls.
Mm-hmm. And just like last time when Crosshair was going to escape, she's like, just trying to be practical about it. This isn't going to go well. Just, let's get you back to your cell before anyone knows anything and switch to stun again.
Yeah, I know. She's probably what she's thinking at the time. She's like, look, we went over this.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work last time. It's not going to work again. You're fucked. But she's very calm about it as usual. And she sets off some sort of alarm, right, as Crosshair stuns her. So they barely get through the ray shields.
Right.
To get out. As they're making their way through the forest, they see one of those creatures, those deadly creatures. What do we want to call this thing? It was like a mini King Kong, fucking Godzilla creature or something. It was weird.
Yeah. It was almost like the outside of Mount Tantiss is Jurassic Park.
Right. You're right. You don't want to be outside the car.
No, not at all. Where are the electrified fences and why are they not on?
They're not working anymore. Luckily, the Lurkas were released earlier to go track down Omega and Crosshair. They end up attacking the creature. So they kind of fend him off, which is, again, that's kind of a Jurassic Park thing. You've seen that where like all of a sudden the
raptors attack the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they make their way to the shuttle and he says, you need to execute Plan 72.
I like how she did Crosshair or did Tech teach you all of the plans?
Yeah.
Or something. She's like, yeah, I memorized all of them. Of course you did.
Yeah.
Something to that effect.
And then they get this fun sequence where the shuttle that's going after them tracks them down and Crosshair starts running around. Like you get to see some cool Crosshair badassery here. Like on a kind of a martial arts level, more so than shooting.
Yeah, like it's not just he doesn't need just his weapon, but like this also shows like he's battle proven, where these other troopers are just they're guys in fucking uniforms guarding doors with lasers. They don't have to do anything all day long.
Right, they did target practice and that's it.
And this boy's been in the shit.
He has for sure. And then not to mention Omega, total fucking hero scene for her.
Mm-hmm.
She goes up into the shuttle, wipes out the pilot, blows away some of the dudes on the ground. Then she and Crosshair like slap fives as he goes up, she comes down and starts mowing dudes down to like fend them off, and calls Batcher in who had just saved her prior to that.
Yeah.
So amazing moves by Omega here.
Right.
Like she has grown up.
We've seen her over the seasons kind of learn everything. So yeah, this is like where we get to see she can handle her own.
She absolutely can.
And even with just Crosshair, it's not even the full Bad Batch. It's just, her and him.
Right.
Yeah.
And then you get this kind of this bit at the end there where just as they're chasing them off into the distance, trying to get away, and they're narrowing in, it looks like they're going to shoot them down as they try to escape the planet. Emerie Karr gets the result of Omega's blood sample.
Right.
And she rushes into Hargrove and she essentially says, like, this is like a clone that had 0 M count degradation. Like you need to call off.
Yeah. This is
what
we've been looking for.
Right. So he does, and they make the jump. And he's like, well, I got all the resources. I can find her. This is just a minor setback. Let's get into the M count talk and the project talk.
Well, I just want to say, the next episode, there's going to be full 30 minutes of Hargrove just slapping the shit out of Nalase. Just, you've known the whole time.
Yeah, he definitely, he put her on lockdown after that. He was like, she must have had help to get out of here.
Well, she took your played iPad, him in the first episode. She's like, he tried calling her out on something. And she was like, I was with you the whole time.
I know. I love that line. He's like, okay, you want to play it that way? So let's get into this whole Necromancer project and how it all works and all that stuff. So you had some thoughts. Go ahead.
Okay, let me take the floor. Okay, first of all, when they obviously they're not going to show you because there's going to be a big reveal where everyone's like, "Is this Snoke?" I think Snoke is like stage 2 or 3, right?
Way down the line.
That's a Strand cast, right? That's when they start fucking the abomination that is Snoke. This right here, he's trying to clone himself, and we know that Rey's dad is a direct clone of Palpatine.
Correct.
But he doesn't have any Force abilities.
Right.
So I think what you're going to see is a younger version of Palps, right?
Okay.
The first time, I think, that these are the ones, and then you realize, fuck, these don't work.
Yeah.
But so I think it's like the, I forget their name. What are the ones that Luke comes back in Mandalorian and slices in half? He's kicking their asses.
The Dark Troopers or whatever?
Yeah, it's like there's different versions of them as they get better and better. I think this is like version 1 of and then he realizes that doesn't work.
It seems too early to be Snoke for sure.
Well, yeah, because there's 50 years? And Snoke's old.
Yeah.
Snoke's old, but it seems like they grow the body before they put a consciousness in it, right?
Right. Yeah, I think
so.
You're right.
I don't think we're anywhere near the Snoke thing yet.
I do like that they don't show you what it is though, just so you're left wondering exactly what's in that tank.
Yeah, I think we're a few levels before but I think with her blood having something to do with it, whether they get that back or they use the little bit they have to see if it works or whatever, but maybe that's what gives us his first clones.
Where is that? So clearly what they're doing when they're like checking the blood, they squirt a little bit of plasma into each one of them to check to see if the blood jives with.
I think we're supposed to believe that that's Palp's blood.
Is that it?
Because they need to see if the mix works, right? Like, is the midichlorians going to be like? Is that going to? Because there's no degradation, so they had to check his sample with the other sample. Is what I'm thinking.
That's what I was trying to figure out. I was trying to figure out, is it Palp's blood they're using? Because they're going to go through a lot of it.
But here's another question.
Okay.
Does Hemlock Hargrove, does he know that it's Palpatine's? Because Palpatine never shows to anybody that he's a Sith.
Correct. So
nobody knows. It's a secret. So I just, even in a secret laboratory or whatever, like I'm wondering if he's saying it's somebody else's, or like this is where the blood's coming from, or he's got maybe he's compartmentalized everything. It's like Oppenheimer, like you're allowed to know this and you're allowed to know this. Like nobody knows everything.
Nobody knows everything. Yeah, no, I could see that. So maybe what he's doing is every once a week or every few weeks or something, somebody comes in and takes a pint of his blood and they ship it off to Mount Tantiss. And like, here's that blood sample again with the M count.
Right.
I don't know. It made me wonder, is this all Palps blood, or is it like, I was like, where else would this be coming from? Is it coming from like dead Jedi? And then I thought, oh no, it's remember when Anakin killed the younglings? This is like the conspiracy theory about the Hollywood elite getting the children's blood. It's the same thing.
Oh, that's pretty. I'm putting that in my story.
Oh,
but it has to be his blood, right? Because I mean, otherwise, how are you going to clone him?
No, I agree with that, but I'm also wondering does it have to be his blood? Because if you have other blood, I don't know where you'd be getting this from, but it has a high M count. At this point, you're just wanting to make sure how you can find something that is accepting the M count, is accepting the midichlorians. So
yes,
so it doesn't necessarily have to be Palpatine's to do the tests. It just needs to be when they actually put it in the specimens. So if they're just running the tests on them, that could be any blood that has M count in it, couldn't it?
No, because one of the lines was it needs to be equal or more.
No, I understand. I was just saying,
so you have to have like they got to test Palpatine's level.
Okay,
it needs to be equal or more than his, which I can't imagine her count is more. To me, it seems like there's no degradation. So mixing it means there's no breakdown.
Sure.
And which means the samples work together.
Right.
Because otherwise, like, you'd think she'd already be like showing more than just talking to animals and it working.
So essentially what they're saying is she has the same M count as Palps.
At least, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty crazy.
So how is she not force sensitive?
Well, so you have to open yourself up to it,
mm-hmm.
right? I mean, that's been talked about a lot. And so if you're totally oblivious to it, you might have these intuitions and things that she has
right,
demonstrated.
and I think that's what her talking to animals and them listening, or some of the things that
you're
she
not
does.
Being trained. You know, she did a little bit of shit with Gunji. Remember that? They were like meditating and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's kind of it. Like, she really hasn't been trained in any sort of forced ways.
You're right. No, there's been no training. I just think some of it's just a natural. And when they're that high, it's the same with Anakin, when the way he was able to pod race.
Right.
You know? Like she's there's so much of it that she actually is capable of doing something without being trained.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's a good point. It's funny because on this front, Max Rebo DM'd us and he said, quote, Omega is Rey's grandmother. I shudder to think of what you guys will do with that information. And then he said, more to the point, is there any connection between Ian McDermott saying the Emperor has had sex and the fact that we learned that Omega's blood worked with midichlorians? Yeah. I told him you got to stay tuned for when we get into the intimacy.
Wait till you see the flight logs to Palpatine's Island.
Oh, God damn it. We're going to have to start calling him Epstein.
Oh.
I mean, he's a creepy old fuck, so it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities.
But like, what does this say about Jango Fett? Like, he is like god tier sperm.
I know. I mean, and that's where I got confused early, as I was thinking, like, so if she's just a clone of him, how is that? I was struggling to figure how it all worked together, but clearly they were using Palp's blood, mixing it in with whatever he was providing, and that's what created her. So
yeah. And
it also makes you think, okay, well, if she is Emerie Karr going to be in that kind of same situation, she's also.
I would imagine they've already checked her, right? I mean,
I guess they would have, huh?
She's because like it shows a difference, like. The biological part of the midichlorians is some have more than others, right? So I think that's what they're doing, is they're looking. And how many clones have they gone through?
A lot. And so does this mean Boba might have some of that shit going on in him too?
I mean, I could be, but I don't think so.
I don't think so either, because he was supposed to be a pure clone of Jango.
Right.
So probably not.
Yeah, and she's an enhanced clone.
Correct.
And we don't know what it is. So obviously that's her specialty, right? I think so.
It just seems odd that that's the enhancement. That's the what they did. Yet Nala Se was able to keep that fucking hush hush for so long.
I don't think anyone knows that she did it. Because even who's the fuckface that did he get taken away or murdered? He was the mayor, the governor,
her boss?
whatever. Yeah, her boss guy.
Lama Su.
He didn't even know, like, what's the big deal with her? Like, he didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Because she had to hide her from him originally.
But he spoke slowly.
I think
a little bit louder.
Yeah, I think this is all her doing.
Nala Se is the ultimate mastermind.
Right. Yeah. So she's gonna die a long death, I think.
Yeah. Well,
because she's not gonna give up the secrets, and they're gonna figure out it's her. That's gonna start with the slapping in the room. Yep.
Slapping in the room. Are you talking about Palps again? No. Oh fuck. Well, it'll be interesting to see how it all plays out. But this is the episode where you started going like, you know, a lot of stuff was being alluded to here, but this is tying a lot of different pieces together.
Yeah. I mean, the room is the secret room is almost set up like the same thing that's on Exegol.
It does look similar. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just, you know, with red lighting.
They even have the chanting going on when you walk in the room. Immediately the music starts playing. Oh.
Right.
It's actually a guy with a boombox walking behind Palps every time he walks into a room. Oh.
Theme song. He's his hype man.
Yeah.
When he doesn't have Vader, he brings his hype man. But speaking of Vader, do you think that Vader, when he says you have the full force of the Empire, do you think that is implying?
You mean when Palps says this to Hemlock?
Yeah.
As in like...
Especially after the escape.
Like Vader's going to be in play.
I think so.
Oh, could be.
Yeah.
The other thing it made me think of is when it came to the whole, like, unlimited resources or whatever, is this where we start hiring bounty hunters?
I think so. Yes.
And is this the scene that we saw in the trailer where it looked like Fennec was sitting in a bar or a cantina or whatever, and Cad walked in and it almost looked like the same place? Is this going to be like a meetup, almost like we saw on the bridge of that Star Destroyer in Empire, where all these bounty hunters come together and they just throw it all out there? These are the people we're going after. Here's the bounty.
Kind of, but I think to me, it's like the Mandalorian at first, like where Mando shows up. Mando! You know, when he's got the fucking puck he's giving out, and like all of them all hang out in that bar, that cantina.
Right.
You know, and then later on, they're all going off when it's Mando. They all have to go after.
So not necessarily all of them in the same room at the same time, but that's the hub.
Right. Yeah. And I think they just happen to be in the same room, and, you know, the call goes out and they're all going to go answer. It's going to be probably an astronomical amount. So they're all going to go on the chase for this thing.
And if that ends up being the case, then that opens the door to have so many bounty hunters in play, including Asajj Ventress.
Correct. Who we're led to believe is still a bounty hunter.
At that time.
At least she is through the book Dark Disciple. And if she survived, like, why not still make a living off of that?
Right. I am like 60 pages from the end of that book. Have you finished it?
I haven't read it in like a week or so. So I'm still stuck at like, what would I tell you? I was at chapter 26, something like that. Yeah,
I'm on like 35 or something. I'm getting real close to the end.
I think I saw someone on Twitter or something was saying, I don't remember where I saw it, but I think she shows up in like the fifth. It'll be the third. We've seen 3, 4. I think the 5th episode she shows up
in this season.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody's leaked that.
Yeah, I think someone said that's I think it was the 5th episode, because
are you reading spoilers, dude?
It was I don't want to know. You know I don't, but that's what I saw, and I thought the same thing. I was like, so these are the people who got the first 8 episodes, and someone is leaking. Well, there goes their press kit next year.
Yeah.
But if she shows up in the 5th episode, we're going to see more of her than we thought. Like, because we were expecting to see her in the last few.
Late, yeah.
Yeah, which I think that's going to be its own story. I think when they find out she's force sensitive, you know, I think she's turned the tide. I don't think she's evil anymore. And she might be on the go, but like we talked about when she found out that, who's the little kid that she was having none of in the Clone Wars.
You mean the kid that she didn't want to, the kidnapped kid?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
or taken or whatever. Yeah, so I think she's got a... Yeah, I think there's going to play. To me, that's going to wrap up with Omega going off with her.
Well, and that's, you know, was it you that sent me the link where somebody was saying how are they teasing a new Asajj series?
No, I did not. I don't think I did.
Oh, because I think somebody was alluding to that. Like,
okay.
So, well, maybe this is all setting up a spinoff where Asajj is going to be the subject of an animated series. I don't know.
I don't know if she'll be the only subject, but I think that will be part of the next animated series, is following her, maybe her learning ways of the Force, or maybe she's going to be taught a little bit of the dark side or whatever, and they got to get her out of it. But I mean, even in the poster, they show, someone pointed out, I didn't notice this, but I saw it, so I'll say it to you. I think I sent it to you. Do you notice she's got, it looks like Boba Fett's gun is like the hilt or whatever of her bow, and it's green lasers instead of the pink that
purple. Yeah, right. Yeah, right. I didn't notice that until you pointed it out. So that's a nice little tie-in. Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be cool if in the next episode or two we see this like meeting of the bounty hunters to see who all is going to be involved, because I think you're going to have a wide group of people that we are familiar with. And I think you're going to see Fennec sitting there, and they're going to throw this out there, and Fennec's going to be like giving that kind of hemming, hawing look, like, I don't want to go capture this gal, or maybe I need to go help her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I think so, because she was hired by Nala Se.
Correct. Right. So in fact, and maybe that's still in play. Maybe she's still working for Nala Se.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe she sees the thing and she contacts Nala Se and now say puts her in play again, but this time, to save her. But also, if you got Asajj Ventress showing up, and we see the shot of her lightsaber, and I think I said this the last time, she's fighting somebody. There's nobody with a fucking lightsaber right now but Darth Vader. So I'm thinking, I'm thinking it's going to play the game of just like who was not Hux? Was it Hux? Who was the guy? Who was the shithead that's been in this show, but they ended up offing him, right?
Rampart.
Yeah, Rampart, right? Where he was the one that was responsible for blowing up the city, right?
Camino, the Tapico city.
Yeah, but he didn't want them to. Then he was like, "Well, I can't let the Emperor know that the fucking Bad Batch survived." And then, so I think this is
that guy.
Hemlock's trying to handle this shit, right? She escaped. He's going to handle it. Finally, he's going to have to let the Emperor know. The Emperor's like, say what? We got someone that works, and he's going to, contact the Bacta tank, put the arms and legs on, and send the man out to play.
He could. I mean, I think there was something either I saw it on the Wikipedia page for Bad Batch Season 3 or somewhere else that I believe Rampart is supposed to show up again.
Oh, okay.
So we might get him back in the mix. Him and Hemlock together would be hilarious.
Oh, man. Just trying to bad guy each other up. Yeah.
Last thing, and we can wrap up our kind of speculation, unless you want to have anything else, but it was just kind of, when is the reunion going to happen? I hope they don't rush Omega and Crosshair meeting back up with the Bad Batch too quickly.
Right.
Because I want to see more Omega and Crosshair together, the two of them. Because I think you can really build up that relationship, much like they did with Omega and Tech in Season 2.
Right.
I think there's a lot to work on there, and I really like Crosshair a lot.
Well, it's going to make him come around, so you like him before his death.
Exactly, which he will die.
I think one of the things that's going to happen is, because we talked about, it looks like they crash land, because how the ship was shot. It's a lot long for the universe. They're not going to make it to what's-her-face's the bar. Yeah, I think they're going to crash, right? And then as the bounty hunters go out, and Asajj Ventress has... I think she gets there. They're going to get split. She's going to get taken. He's going to end up with a Bad Batch, and then they're going to go have to find her again.
Oh, I see. That could be.
Just off the top of my head.
I like it. I like these. I like the speculation. I just think that I just don't want them to be like, next episode, oh, they found him. Like, I want there to be separation for a while.
And then they're all back at Sid's. What do we do now? What's the mission of the week?
And then, the next thing, they're eating Mantel mix, and fucking we're right back to Season 1. Like, come on, man. Moochie comes in again.
Oh, boy.
Oh, shit. All right. Anything else?
No, that's all I got for speculation.
All right. I think we gave quite a lot of breakdown there. Let us know your thoughts. Looking forward to episode 4. The nice thing is we get episode 4 and episode 5 are each standalones. And then I think they combine 6 and 7. It's on our schedule, but I'm going to be gone. So we'll have to combine like 8 and 9. I think 10 and 11 are combined. So there's going to be a lot of 2-episode recaps we're doing.
Okay.
But next week will just be episode 4. So watch it be like a shitty filler episode.
I don't think so. They got time for filler.
They don't got time for it.
That's all killer, no filler.
I like it. Let's go to the Maul Bag. Email number 1 from Max Rebo. I hope you had this came in just after we recorded the first time, or last week. I hope you had a satisfactory Super Bowl Sunday. This one goes back a ways to a time before Lizzo was in Star Wars. In the Book of Boba Fett finale, after Pelimoto finds Mando, she says, quote, "The Force works in mysterious ways," and then Grogu gets a strange look on his face and the rickshaw droid's head exploded. Did Grogu do that? Do you remember this at the time? I think we talked about this at the time we reviewed this episode.
Wasn't it just stressed out? Wasn't it
It could have been
on
stressed.
the fritz of,
It also sort of did look like Grogu did something. But why would he blow the droid's head up? It didn't make any sense.
Well, he's a little rascal anyways. So.
I guess so. But the rickshaw's driving them. Does he really want to?
Well, doesn't the rickshaw, that's when it takes a flip, right? It goes fucking ass over, and then that's when they go fly Mando and he catches little Grogu, right?
Yes.
And so then he decides, oh, you fucking crash land, so I'm going to pop your head off? Is that
I thought he popped his head out before that. Does he pop it? I thought he popped it out before the crash. Maybe I'm wrong. No, I don't remember.
I have to see the scene again. I was picturing it after.
The good news is we're going to post this episode tomorrow, and
we'll be
within
told.
24 hours, Max Rebo will tell us.
He could have just answered it for us.
Email number 2 from Wade, Records of the Republic. Wade's getting a lot of entries this week.
He is.
If you were to put together a costume for a convention, what would it be and why? Oh, boy. What are you going to do, Jay?
If I was single
and ready to mingle,
I think I would go to a con dressed as Tech.
Why? Hold on. Why, if you're single, and why Tech?
Because everyone's going to want to love on him. Oh, you're still alive, you know?
Everybody's upset about it.
Yeah.
I see.
I mean, I could do it with Kyle. I just couldn't.
You already got the glasses.
Right, yeah. I'll just throw them on the floor and put them back on, and then
she could go as Fee. No, I mean, you could do. Yeah, there's a lot of things you could do there. My mind went to a dark place.
Well, mine did too, in a different way.
I thought maybe I should go as Toro Calican and then off myself.
Oh. Like right in the center of the convention. Like on the hour, every hour, you kill yourself.
Yep, over and over and over again.
You did it again.
Yep,
it's not as
he
fun
died
anymore.
Again. No, and I thought too about like, I don't know what I would want to go as. You know, it's always cool. A lot of the troopers that they have are always kind of cool looking. But the problem you have with troopers is then you got to wear that goddamn helmet the whole time.
Oh, I know.
It's like when you were like, had a good mask or whatever for Halloween, but you're like, I don't want to wear this thing all night. You know,
No.
It only works for a while.
Yeah.
So I think that would get old.
Yeah, I agree. No, I wouldn't want to do the big ass helmet either.
We need to ask Christina when she was trooping or when she troops, whatever that term is.
Yeah.
Does she have the helmet on the whole time? Does it get hot? Is it annoying?
It's really hot in here. Or no, is it I can't breathe in this thing. Dark helmet.
You're right. That'd be a good one. Go as dark helmet.
Yeah.
That'd be a fucking great con outfit. Go Spaceballs characters. That's perfect.
With the fucking tie and everything.
Right. Email number 3 from Max Rebo Experience. I hope you had a satisfactory batchness day. And then he just sent a picture of the fucking
he just
broken
likes to
goggles
get after you, doesn't he?
Of tech. You're just, I mean, you're going to die, Max.
I just sent that tweet the other day that was just tech falling.
Well, that's the thing is he's doing those a lot.
Yes.
And I mean, egotistically think that he's subtweeting me.
I think he is. That's how I took it.
But I'm also like, it could be he's getting after other people too and fucking with other people.
Okay.
Maybe it's not just me, but it certainly feels personal.
So you're in the batch of subtweets. You're one of them
so.
he's getting to.
I'm one of them.
All right.
I'm sure there's more than just me.
Man.
Well, that's it. Thanks, Max. I don't know if I want to give you an entry for that one.
I wouldn't.
I might knock one off. That cancels out his other email.
No point for you, smartass.
He's the one who's so bitter because he had like so many entries last time. He's kind of the new Mike Laybourne in that sense because he won't win.
Right. It's not rigged.
No.
Thank you for listening, including you, Max Rebo. Till next time,
Laugh it up, fuzzballs.
we have spoken.